Hi, welcome to our presentation of Kirkpatrick's 4 Levels of Training Evaluation, Chapters 1 and 2. This is presented by
Aileen Sousa
and Lori Rebar. Evaluation is a process. It's not just a one-time event that occurs in a project. It occurs during each phase of a project, and it lends value to that phase while helping to clarify the objectives of each step of the project. Evaluation also helps to keep the focus on the learner rather than on the process or the desired end result. Evaluation must be ongoing throughout the project, before, during, and after a project. The ADDIE model is a well-known instructional model, and evaluation plays a valuable role in every single ADDIE phase: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. As noted by Elaine Beach in the foreword to our textbook, The Kirkpatrick's 4 Levels of Training Evaluation, she indicates most of us know that a critical part of our job is to be able to evaluate our results. If you are effective, you evaluate, but you will be less effective if you wait until the end of ADDIE to consider what you will evaluate. And I thought that was a good statement. During the analysis phase, designers clarify the expectation. It's a time to ask questions that will help to identify the needed outcomes of the training and get familiar with the organization, its characteristics, its learners, limitations on training, etc. Determining the business or mission values and tangible and quantitative outcomes desired by the stakeholders is key at this stage. There are wide varieties of questions that might be asked. We've listed a few here. The design phase is the time to design your overall training strategy, planning what will occur before, during, and after training events. Data from this phase will determine whether the effort meets expectations. During the design stage, evaluation is necessary to make certain that all of the features of the design work well together and lead towards the desired outcome. Everything comes together in the development phase. Evaluation in the development phase is directly related to the ultimate success of the training effort and determines whether it achieves the final expectations. Development is a very active phase, as materials and technologies are blended together in this stage to create learning activities and evaluation instruments. It's very important that the focus of all of these remain on the learner. As the name suggests, implementation is the phase where the learning activities are actually delivered, whether in person, virtually, in a synchronous format. It's important to obtain feedback and data on an ongoing basis during delivery, so that you can make adjustments in the presentation of materials before it's too late. Participants may give verbal or behavioral cues throughout the presentation, and these can be supplemented with possibly short evaluations or feedback at various intervals. Evaluation of the total training or learning project does not just occur at the end of the project via testing, but throughout the various phases. We noted that backwards design stresses the importance of evaluation, and you start with evaluation basically at the beginning of this, and it hit us both, so we included backwards design here because it just automatically kind of worked with us. Backwards design has 3 different stages: identify the desired results, determine acceptable evidence, and then plan learning experiences and instruction. For a little bit of background on Dr. Don Kirkpatrick, his doctoral dissertation occurred in 1954 and was the basis for what became known as the 4 Levels of Training. Several years later, he published a series of 4 articles in the journal Training and Development, which was the Journal of American Society of Training Directors, and his writings were practiced by many. The first edition of his book, Evaluating Training Programs, The 4 Levels, was published in 1994, with the new editions following in 1998 and 2006. The first book and other of his writings and books have been widely used in business as well as in universities. Kirkpatrick states in the foreword to his second edition of Evaluating Training Program, which we happen to have in the library as an ebook, that these 4 levels of training program evaluation were spun out of his attempt to clarify what the terms evaluation or evaluating mean. His quest led to this effective evaluation strategy.
So regardless of how training is done and by whom, the value of training needs to be evaluated both before and after the training. And training should be done for a definite purpose, give evidence of tangible results, and those results should be demonstrated in job performance. Now, they gave 3 reasons to evaluate training programs. The first is to improve the program. The second is to maximize transfer of learning to behavior and subsequent organizational results. And the third is to demonstrate the value of training to the organization. You would use formative and summative methods to ask participants whether they enjoyed the program, whether they learned key information, and how the program might be improved for future sessions. All of those kinds of items would be reasons to evaluate training programs to improve the program. To maximize transfer of learning of behavior, then the training needs to be relevant and gets implemented on the job. If what was learned translates into improved job performance, then it is possible for better organizational results to be achieved. And 3, this model promotes the practice of demonstrating the relative value of many components. Learning and development professionals have to show that the resources allocated to training, money and time put into it, have been put to good use. The Kirkpatrick model has 4 levels. Although Don Kirkpatrick did not name them the 4 levels himself, those who used the model began referring it to the 4 levels. We'll introduce them in this chart. The first level, level 1, is reaction, which is the degree to which participants find the training favorable, engaging, and relevant to their jobs. Level 2 in learning is the degree to which participants acquire the intended knowledge, skills, attitude, confidence, and commitment based on their participation in the training. Level 3 is the degree to which participants apply what they learned during training when they are back on the job. And level 4 is the results, where the degree to which the targeted outcomes occur as a result of the training and the support and accountability package. The New World model is an enhancement to the original 4 levels. They were developed in 2010 by Don Kirkpatrick's son and daughter-in-law, which was about 50 years after the original method was published in these 4 articles. They address some of the important points that have occurred through the years of the use of the original model, keeping it relevant and fresh. Here's what is addressed. They have incorporated forgotten and overlooked teachings of Dr. Don Kirkpatrick. They corrected some common misinterpretations and misuse of the model, and it illustrates how the model applies to modern talent development and performance. So here's a look at the new model, which looks at the 4 levels in reverse, looking at the level 4 program outcomes first. In addition to the 4 levels, it adds clarifying statements and questions to test the results at each level. So at level 4 results, organizations will have a number of leading indicators that encompass departmental and individual goals. And each of those contribute to the accomplishment of the highest level result. So a common example of leading indicators include monthly sales volume, defective rate, employee retention, and customer satisfaction scores. The level 4 is really looking at the big picture. What do you want the outcomes of the organization to be as a result of this training or program you're implementing?
Leading indicators was one of the areas that was added by Kirkpatrick's son and daughter-in-law in their New World model. And that refers to the short-term observations and measurements that suggest that critical behaviors are on track to create a positive impact on desired results. And they added this to help bridge the gap between individual initiatives and the organizational results.
So level 3 is looking at behavior. That's the degree to which participants apply what they learned during training when they're back on the job. There's critical behaviors, and those are the few key behaviors that the primary group will have to consistently perform on the job to bring about the targeted outcomes.
Required drivers are listed here, and again, these two are the new items that were added by Kirkpatrick's son and daughter-in-law. And required drivers refer to processes and systems that reinforce, monitor, encourage, and reward performance of critical behaviors on the job. And basically, this is an alignment of what is learned during training with the critical behaviors, and the desired leading indicators is the key to creating the training programs that deliver value to that organization.
So level 2 is the learning. That's the degree to which participants acquire the intended knowledge, skills, attitude, confidence, and commitment based on their participation in the training. Knowledge is the degree to which participants know information. Skill is the degree to which they know how to do something or perform a certain task.
Attitude is when they can say, I believe this will be worthwhile to do on the job. Confidence. We don't normally think about building confidence, but this is great. I think I can do it on the job. And commitment, I will do it on the job.
Finally, level 1 is measuring the reaction, or the degree to which participants find the training favorable, engaging, and relevant to their jobs. Approximately 80% of live classroom programs and 58% of electronically delivered programs are evaluated at level 1 in some fashion. But what the authors mention is that this is also where a lot of trainers stop their evaluation. But measuring customer satisfaction is just the beginning. It tends to be overly emphasized in current evaluation practice, but it is worth looking at because it does have a positive correlation to learning. If they enjoy the training, then they're more likely to have learned in the training. It's also looking at engagement, or the degree to which participants are actively involved in and contributing to the learning experience. Relevance, which is the degree to which participants will have the opportunity to use what they learned in the training on the job. And then also the part of this level 1 is monitoring and adjusting, which is tracking on-the-job performance, making adjustments as needed, and reinforcing best practices already in effect. What's important to note about this model that the authors discuss is that this whole model, the Kirkpatrick model, is not a full feedback loop.
So what is the takeaway? All levels of the New World model are important. At least that's what we think. Levels 1 and 2 provide data to help measure quality of programs.
Levels 3 and 4 provide data related to training effectiveness.
There are no shortcuts. You have to do all of the levels to get the desired results.
Training alone cannot give maximum results. It also takes on-the-job effort.
Remember, not all problems in an organization can be solved by training alone. So we're going to post our questions, but we'll go ahead and read them for you. Also, our first "What do you think?" is our book is focused on examples from business, but all of us tend to be studying the 4 levels of evaluation, relating it to education. So based on your own experience, how do you think you could apply one of these levels, just one, to an educational situation? Choose one of the levels and make sure to tell us which level it is, and then give a brief explanation of how you might, or maybe you did, use this level for evaluation. You can use the questions and comments listed on the slide pertaining to that level that you choose, and that may help you formulate your answer as you answer some of the questions there.
We're also curious, which level are you most comfortable using for evaluation at this time, and why? If you want to give an example of how you have or maybe might have used it at this level, that's great, but not required.
Thanks so much for listening to us.
Thanks.
Have a good one.